somebody wasn't around, you shouldn't have fucked with.
Oh, I think we all know who that is. This is Tennessee Giant Trade Talk, powered by Online Big Blue LLC. It's day 2, or the finish of day 2 of the training camp. Not training camp, but of the joint practice with the Detroit Lions. Forgive me, I am tired. It was another long drive there, another long drive back, and then I got to head back out for Thursday's game. So I don't know why. I don't know why I just don't have a house or another house somewhere in New Jersey. Seems like I have houses everywhere else. Why don't I just have another one in Jersey? Because it would make the season a lot easier. I want to talk about the unofficial depth chart, which came out yesterday for the New York Giants for this. It's just the unofficial depth chart. That's really all it is. Let's talk about camp for a momentito. Malik Nabers has looked great. He's looked awesome. He's looked spectacular. He's had his moments to shine. The unofficial stats from yesterday where he was targeted 8 times and he was hit on all 8 targets. He's looked good in the deep pass. He's looked good back. He's looked good coming back from some badly thrown balls. He's just looked good in general. But, and of course, there's always a but. There is the play in the corner of the end zone that's a little concerning for me. He got denied a pass in the corner of the end zone. It was knocked away. It was a clean play. It was a good play. He comes out of the corner of the end zone. I think it was number 31 on the Lions. He's walking past number 31, and he basically throws an elbow or an arm into the face mask of number 31 of the Detroit Lions. It's a cheap shot. It's plain and simple a cheap shot. It's a penalty. Back in the day when I played, it was called Bush League. You don't do that. You don't do it in practice. You don't do it to another team. You sure as shit don't do it in a game, because it's going to do is draw the ire of your coach, and you're going to get a flag. And people are like, well, Tim, you're making too much. You're making too big of a thing of this. No, I'm not, because that's his personality. We watched this for how many years with OBJ? We watched the maturation of OBJ and how you could get under his skin. Just ask Josh Norman. We saw how OBJ, with all of his world talent, had issues controlling his emotions. Now, you got to give Nabers a slide a little bit because he is a rookie. But at the end of the day, these are things that you cannot do, even in practice. You cannot go past the player. I don't care what the fuck the player says, and throw an elbow or throw a cheap shot to the guy's head. You just can't. It's a 15-yard flag and potentially an ejection every single time. Everyone talks about it's practice. So good we are in practice. But see, practice leads to the game. And there's a lot of people, especially content creators, that never played. They can put it in their Pop Warner tapes. Fireball! But they practice leads to the game. And what you do in practice, a lot of times you hope for the good translates onto the field on Sunday. So there's also the worry that those bad habits can also, or those bad emotions, ask Will Hernandez, can translate over onto the field on Sunday, and it's a flag. So you can have all the world talent in the world. You can be spectacular all you want, and you could do whatever you want. I didn't care about I didn't care about OBJ and marrying the net. I didn't care about his sideline antics. I was bothered at times by some of the antics he had on the field, like pissing in the end zone. I didn't think that was, called for. I didn't care about the off-field stuff. I didn't care about the French models. I didn't care about the funny cigarettes. I didn't care about any of that. But what I did care about is when he went toe-to-toe with Josh Norman in utter stupidity. I mean, Josh Norman got under his skin and continuously got under his skin. So, and to me, the reason why they got rid of OBJ is what it was, the buildup of everything that was accumulative that he had done for 4+ years that led to him being moved on from, because they thought he was starting to be a bad influence. So they always say you develop good. There's 2 things that you could do in practice, especially if you have like summer practice or spring practice or training camp or whatever. You develop good habits in practice. You can also develop bad habits in practice. And you have to remember your emotions, while raw in the moment, need to be checked. And they also need to keep in check, because you can't have a huge game negated by a stupid penalty because of the fact that you threw a shiver in someone's face. It doesn't work. And hopefully he does not learn this the hard way. Will Hernandez learned this the hard way. OBJ learned this the hard way. There's plenty of players that learn this the hard way. I gotta admit, it was nice to see, it was nice to see that Dante Miller, a little bit of turbo, has been impressing a little bit at camp. It's interesting because he can get to the outside. He can get to the edge. Turbo is. And that's probably why they call him Turbo. We're at number 25, the old Mark Collins Butch Woolfolk number. But he can get to the outside with some giddy up. So you're going to see a lot of jet sweeps. You're going to see a lot of others, maybe some delayed handoffs. You're going to see something to this. I don't know if he's making the roster yet. Because you really, even with behind Devin Singletary, there's really nothing. So, I mean, Eric Gray, I'm not going to sit there and lie to you and tell you I'm enthused about Eric Gray. I'm not going to, Tyrone Tracy, I don't know what he's going to be yet because he's a rookie and he's only played basically running back 1 year in college. He played a little bit in high school, so I don't know what he's going to be, if he's going to be more of a third down Tony Galbraith type back, number 30. Tony Galbraith was number 30 for people that don't know their Giant history. So I'm kind of curious, but like I said, he's impressed in camp. But we've also seen some guys impressed in camp that just didn't equate to to game day on Sunday. So we have to kind of wait and see. We got to take everything with a grain of salt. I got a video coming out Wednesday that talks about what the Giants should do and won't do at training during this preseason. So make sure you stay tuned for that. It's going to be, of course, sponsored by the venerable Mint Mobile. Are partnered by and sponsored by a little bit of everything with Mint. Mintmobile.com/Big Blue. It's been almost 2 years. This is going on year 2 with Mint Mobile. It's fucking crazy to me. But also wanted to talk about quickly Kayvon Thibodeau and Mr. Burns. It's interesting to see the difference at times in reference to where they are at in their career. Now you're going to say, well, Kayvon Thibodeau is only going to his 3rd year, and what Brian Burns is going into his 6th now. But you could see at times a level of difference in regards to the moves that each use to get to the quarterback. There is more Kayvon, we've always said, cannot rely on physical talent alone to make a difference. And you watch Mr. Burns, and he really does have.
You say I have a plethora of piñatas?
I don't think he's got a plethora of piñatas, but I do think he's got a plethora of moves. And they were on full display at times, even going up against Mr. You could see Kayvon on one-on-one drills being moved off to the side, even against better opponents. But Burns, you could tell, even against Sewell, he's got that extra gear and he's got that extra ability, and he's got that more of a finished, polished product to get to the quarterback. And I'm only bringing that up because I'm kind of concerned because they are both kind of carbon copy players. They really are. But one is just further along on their career than the other. And I get concerned a little bit that you may see Burns overshadow Kayvon, which, while everybody's buddy now, we've seen, especially last year, the first 2 games of the season, that Kayvon does have the ability to sulk and be a little sullen and turn on the fan base in the first 2 games. You can watch that from the first 2 games of the season to the last 7 games of the season and to the offseason, some of his comments as well. So I get concerned if Burns has more of a impact immediately, what that may do to Kayvon's psyche going in later on into the season, because he is still a younger player, year 3. But it is interesting because, like I said, it was mentioned before on the NFL Network, not by me, that the Brian Burns move was a good move, but they said the same thing, that they gave $140 million to an 8-sack guy. So you're going to have to kind of hope that maybe he with Kayvon or someone draws more double teams, that the other person will get to the quarterback, because that's going to happen, considering that Shane Bowen really only likes to create a rush with 4 down linemen. So we'll find that interesting. Getting into the official depth chart, the first really official unofficial depth chart. I mean, I don't get too hyped up about the depth chart coming, the first depth chart of the preseason. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you're gonna see. You're going to look at some names that are probably on this depth chart that are, I'm going to say, aren't going to be either on the roster or probably aren't even going to be, impact players. You look at you got the wide receiver positions with starters of you have a dual combination starter on one side with Jalen Hyatt and Slayton. You got Wanda Robinson basically in the slot. The offensive lineman, I'm not even going to go through. You have the normal Thomas, Runyon, and Schmitz. And then you're going to have a mixture of guys on the other side. So I'm not even going to get into the right tackle and the right guard yet because to me it doesn't even matter. You still have Devin Singletary, Eric Grain, Tyrone Tracy, Dante Miller with Corbin also backing them up. Like I said, I'm not feeling the love and the confidence with that. You got Nabers on the one side backed up by Isaiah, then Allen Robinson, Bryce Wheaton Ford. It looks like Allen Robinson is probably going to be a cap casualty. Then you got Bellinger and Cager. It's interesting that Theo Johnson is 5th on the list, but again, I'm 4th on the list in reference to starting tight ends, but it doesn't matter. It's still fucking early. Defensive end, of course, you have Brian Burns backed up by the Boogie Basham. Then you got Dexter Lawrence and Jordan Riley and DJ Davidson. You got the Nacho as a defensive tackle position. Then Kayvon Thibodeau, Bobby Okereke, and Micah McFadden. And then behind those guys, that's what scares the living bejesus out of me. Because you look at the defensive end, it's going to be Basham, nose tackle Riley, defensive tackle Ryder Anderson. Ryder Anderson got mauled today a couple times. You got Azeez Ojulari backing up Thibodeau. You got Carter Coughlin. Yes, Carter Coughlin still is on this team. And you got Johnson backing up McFadden with the rookie and Darren Beavers behind him. You got Phillips and the Nick. This is what really scares me. You got Phillips, Banks, Belton, Pinnock, and Flott. Backed up by Isaiah Simmons, Trey Hawkins, Tyler Newbin, Riley, and Darnay Holmes. Oh, God. The Giants better score a lot of fucking points because Shane Bowen is not known for his defensive secondaries at times. Everyone talks about what he does against the run, but everyone always remembers his 2 best seasons came in bookend seasons with Jim Schwartz in that first year. And then he had the bad year, and then Jim Schwartz came in for a couple of years, and then he had the bad year again when Schwartz left to take the defense coordinator position. Go read the article on the Daily Tennessean that basically talks about Schwartz came in to mentor Shane Bowen and be a second set of eyes. To me, he was basically the quasi defensive coordinator helping Shane Bowen. But that's neither here nor there. So you cannot be filled with love and confidence right now with that secondary. You got to hope they find a gem somewhere. Definitely will be at the game on Thursday. Of course, we'll be sitting in the coaches club saying, just doing our thing. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And as always, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to ring that bell if you want to know why. That'd be awesome.